influencers. Already I have close to about 100 comments coming through, so please make sure that you're not left out on this particular bandwagon. Drop in your comments, that's on Facebook or Twitter pages. All right, so we're talking about social media influencers, and the UCC, now the Uganda Communications Commission, has announced that influencers on social media and others will be others with large commercialized online followings, beg your pardon for that, must register their activities for monitoring their state. Now, the communications regulator says the scheme, which also levies $20, that's about 73,000 Uganda shillings fee, is designed to clamp down on immoral or prejudiced content. Now, however, critics think of it as part of an escalating campaign by the President, His Excellency President of Uganda, Govt Museveni, to suppress online content disapproving of him and his government.
Well, last week, university lecturer and social researcher Stella Nyanzi was jailed for 18 months on cyber harassment charges stemming from a Facebook post criticizing President Govt Museveni. Now, according to Digital Communications Rights Watchdog and Wanted Witnesses, between 2016 and 2018, at least 33 Ugandans have either been summoned and interrogated by police or charged with online communications offenses. Rights activists say this registration scheme is not a positive move. It infringes on the rights of freedom of expression. Well, let's hear it from the parties that are in charge or are most affected this morning. And we have Mr. Wokulira Sebagala, the Executive Director and Wanted Witness, together with Faisal Papa. I don't know if I did pronounce that very well, but Piper, the social media influencer. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. $20. I don't know if this is monthly or yearly, but $20 is a fee apparently designed to clamp down on immoral, prejudiced content. Let me start with you, Mr. Wokulira. What's your personal view on this?
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers and listeners. Let me make a quick correction here. I reside from Unwell Witness, but I still support Unwell Witness. I subscribe to the scores, and the issue really at play to me, who was there as a leader 2 years ago, this is not a surprise to me. UCC, as I remember in 2009, they held a campaign which of course led them to amend the law which regulates it, and it ran away from a parliamentary oversight. So whatever UCC is doing in the interest of specific individuals, not for Ugandans, because we know that if an institution runs away from accountability, it should be really hiding something. And to me, I think I have seen UCC gagging media more than what we are seeing now. Remember, UCC closed down the open airspace radio talk shows without any justification. Right. UCC has also closed many arbitrarily radio stations, TV stations. UCC has also caused really a lot of fear, censorship, because people fear to lose their licenses, because people fear to lose business. In other words, because of its way of doing things, people think that media platforms are businesses. In Ugandan context, of course, media houses have been reduced to businesses because people earn a living more than doing its cardinal role, which is supposed to be to inform and empower citizens really with information, to make informed decisions, to participate actively in whatever, whether governance. But this is, of course, UCC has been really, I think they have succeeded in this. So we have seen people lost their jobs. I'm one of the victims. And I have seen more people losing their jobs. They have done really arbitrary orders, which of course you happen to question their motive. You remember in 2016, they closed down the internet. And there was no justification to ask them, okay, where are the guidelines for you to shut down the internet? They were like, we have them. We asked them, can we have them? I mean, there are no clear operations of and the interest of the Uganda Communications Commission, because if really you are supposed really to regulate, don't control. Legislate using the law, and there is no any other better supreme law than the Constitution.
Are you saying that what we've been seeing over the past few years with regards to the closures of different media outlets, with regards to the different legislations that you've been seeing and the implementations that UCC is actually very, I think now very active with regards to them just making sure that they up their game on that? Are you saying that it's all unwarranted? Don't you think that there's need to pretty much tame some of this outlets, so to speak?
Well, I mean, for me, you will not be surprised if I tell you that UCC most especially ups its game, especially when we are heading to elections. You're going to see more victims, I'm telling you. And whatever they do, it is really to protect the establishment. They will always do that. You will hear more radio stations. You will hear social media platforms suffering. This tax they introduced with their support, it wasn't really for generating revenue. No, it was really to block certain population, to make people more ignorant, and people suffer in their ignorance, and their voices will never be heard to demand for accountability, demand for service delivery, because he knows the government is hungry.
I think it would be pertinent for us, David, to point out that we were expecting Mr. Ibrahim Bossa, the spokesperson of the Uganda Communications Commission, to join us in this particular roundtable, in this particular pertinent conversation, but unfortunately he's running late. Hopefully he will find us as we continue, so he can get to answer to these particular questions that are coming through to the UCC. But Faisal, yes. Social media influencers, I think my government started out with the OTT. Yeah, and you are one of the. I think social media influencers were the biggest group to first complain, saying that, yeah,
it had to be the biggest. Actually, even as we speak today, there's Bobby Wine is in court, showing up today about this very issue. And let me do what he said with regards to OTT, because UCC, it's a regulatory body, it's good. I mean, regulation is good, but there's this issue of you set up something, you haven't consulted anyone, you haven't talked to the masses, you just wake up and about and you're like, oh, by the way, I feel like today people should pay $20. I mean, how sure am I next year is not going to reach? And they're like, I feel like now we should pay $500 because I mean in Tanzania they're paying $5,000, so you people can handle. So what I'm trying to get at is, regulation would have been welcomed if UCC had actually contacted the people it's trying to ask money from. I mean, you're asking me for a license for what? You didn't help me become who I am online. You didn't help me set up these platforms. You didn't help me in any way. And I feel like there's a reason why there's no UCC person on the panel today. Yeah, but anyway, back to the.
He's running late. He's coming.
Let's feel like he's here.
But back to the point is, it's always good. There's always going to be backlash if you say things without talking to people, without consulting people. You ask the media, oh, by the way, you guys, if the issue is fake news, they should have told us, there's a lot of fake news. How do you think we should curb this? Yeah, should we regulate content? Should we sit down and look at every tweet coming from Uganda, because that's possible? I don't know why they don't just do that. Should we sit down and look at all the content coming from Uganda with regards to Twitter, with regards to Facebook, and then note which is fake news and which is it, so that we can counteract in time? They did not do anything. Yeah, they just woke up and are like, oh, we're going to regulate, and this has worked in Egypt. So when they say Egypt, in my head I'm like, what? That's the worst case scenario to use, because Egypt put that law there to actually curb down on what people were saying online, and they said it. They were like, you know what, if you're an influencer, they didn't actually say an influencer, they were like, if you're on social media and you have more than 5,000 friends or 5,000 followers, you have to register, you have to pay. Can you imagine? So they just started arresting people, and this was Egypt, and this was in 2018 before the March elections.
Correct.
Yeah, so they started arresting people. You say something, they arrest you. Towards the elections, they amended the law in court, and they're like, so now the law is if you say anything against the government, be it the government has said you people should not go to work tomorrow, it's a public holiday, and you're like, no, me, I want to go to work, you get arrested. Yeah. So using Egypt as a case study was the worst example ever, because we all know, the entire world knows why Egypt did what it did. So we come back and we ask UCCs, is it why you're doing it as well? Are you doing it for the same reason Egypt did it? Because we know why Egypt did what it did.
Well, the social media influencers, you're earning some money. As much as we all want to pretend that you're there passing on information, right now, the only reason why we highlight you as social media influencers is because you're making some good money off it. So,
is making money bad?
It's not bad. So why are you fighting or finding it offensive when you're making money, and the government wants to get some of it from you because you're making money? It's a way of taxing you for what you're earning.
Yes, there are two. I want to give you two answers to that. Number one, you have to first understand who is an influencer and who is not. Yeah, because some people make money online by mistake. No one, some of us we did not wake up with this whole scenario of, let me go set up a Twitter account and start making money. No, it was never like that. I woke up, got my phone, started tweeting. People found it funny, people found it interesting, people found it interactive. They followed. Yeah, I never at any one point in time told people, guys, follow me, I'm going to be updating you with everything that's happening in Uganda, like Daily Monitor, like New Vision. No, I got up, put up a social media platform, and then people started approaching me. They're like, oh, by the way, I guess you have a specific kind of niche I want to access. Can I give you something just to, you know, use your platform? Yeah. I'm like, oh, why not? Because it's my platform. What you're giving me is what I've been I've been paying data ever since I put up these platforms. Yeah, I've been paying data. I have to update my phone. I have to get a new phone once in a while. I also have expenses as an influencer. Yes, and I'm also paying OTT already. Yeah,
right.
So if double taxation.
Yes, it's going to be double taxation, because if you're telling me
not even double,
I have to pay OTT.
It's gonna be double.
I have to pay tax on my phone, pay tax, pay OTT as well, and then some of these, some of the websites, or let's say the places we get content from, it's not for free. Yeah, some of the website, let's say if I want to access the New York Times or Bloomberg, I have to subscribe for all those things. Get them, read about it, then tweet about it. So I'm actually already paying.
All right,
in very many places.
And many of you will actually argue that over and above that, whenever a client approaches you, they withhold. You know, they withhold tax.
They withhold
when they're paying you. So over and above that, essentially you're paying taxes.
It's there. If a client is going to pay you through the bank, you've actually already paid, because they're going to get that money from you and be like, oh, by the way, we have to account and all that, so this has gone here, and you're like, oh, okay, it's all right. But let's not also pretend that every influencer is making money, because there are people who have been online for a very long time. They call themselves influencers and they make nothing. Yes, all they do is just, oh, come do this, we'll give you a free ticket. Come do this, we'll give you a free this. You know, because employers also take advantage of us. Yeah, UCC should have come as a governing regulatory body and been like, you know what, as influencers, come, tell us your problems.
Right.
What are the problems you're facing? The people who are not paying us. What other problems are you facing? OTT. Okay. What about if we brought like we formed a real association, a social media association or a digital media association, whereby all these issues are addressed? Because, like it or not, even influencers are affected by fake news.
Sticking to fake news, wow. I think this is such a tough conversation to have without this, without UCC being represented at this table, because everything is just being pointed to them for them to respond to.
You said they are on the way.
Speaking, yeah. Hopefully they will find it before we wrap up. And wow. All right. So, Mr. Wokulira, just let us in on this one. We know that fake news is a reality, and it's not just an issue that we're grappling with here in Africa, here in Uganda. It's a global issue. Exactly. President Trump always just makes noise about it, saying that, hey, fake news here, fake news there. Don't you think government is warranted, especially now that you're counting down to the 2021 general elections, and knowing that security and safety of the 40 million Ugandans is, I think, the top priority. And us knowing that social media influencers do carry a lot of, weight with them with regards to the following that they have, with regards to the believability on anything that they post on social media. Don't you think this regulation and this control and monitoring is warranted at this point in time?
I'm not surprised that this is brought under the notion of national security. This has been really a blanket that has been used to gag several spaces. But security, the United Nations really put clear standards that national security shouldn't be really used as a scapegoat for a government to cause any harm or suppress or harass a particular section, if really freedom of expression must be guaranteed. So for me, like he said, one of the things, of course, what we're looking at, I mean, why does UCC run away from consultation? I think I would be very more interested. UCC should, consult not only the influencers, but even the beneficiaries of the influencer services, because it is from then that you happen to understand well the sector, but at the same time, the influencers, the challenge that he said they are facing, but more importantly, it should really work towards supporting them, do their noble duty. If Mr. Mutabazi and his team, the UCC, they believe in transparency and accountability, citizens owe them a duty to make sure that they receive accurate information which empowers them. The influencers, they are an advantage to any government program. If the government has delivered, whether social or economic or political, the influencers should be there to make everyone aware that the government has done ABCD. Why are they being targeted? There is a fear, that influencers, they are going to expose the government because they have not delivered. Because for me, that is really the starting point. And why is it coming now? It's the political question that they are trying to block any influence, because they have killed the traditional media. Trust me, the traditional media enjoyed, I think 3-5 years ago, a relative listenership, viewership. But because of censorship, because of the actions of UCC, people believe that the traditional media has been gagged, and there is a set of censorship and institutional censorship. So people are looking at online as the only probably independent platform where people can express their views openly.
So what happens?
This is an article that we're quoting from Mr. Ibrahim Bossa, who is supposed to be with us here. But I'll read this out for you. He says that UCC data communications, he says to register all individuals with heavily followed social media and other online accounts that carried ads alongside other content on platforms, that is across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And he says that that would include prominent musicians, journalists, and socialites. As a data communicator, you're pushing out content which could easily violate the known perimeters of morality, of incitement, of ethnic prejudice, or not be factual. We want online platforms to register with the Commission so that we can monitor them, a process that the $20 fee was designed to fund.
I like monitor. But the moment you bring in the licensing, then you have the license, but at the same time you can as well deny somebody to continue doing the work. So it is. I mean, they've tried with the journalists. I'm happy that the professionals stand united on this. I mean, what should you? I am delivering a service. I'm not. Whereas I earn something literal, I am helping people to get services. So why should you license me? Meaning that the moment you realize that I have touched a topic which you wouldn't want me to be party to, automatically you're going to start really raising the issue of my licensing. Is
it possible for us to look at this licensing from a positive lens, so to speak? Okay. Just borrowing from any other sector, business, different sectors. Even teachers now are being, subjected to online re-registration, so to speak. When it comes to growth of any sector or growth of any career, some formalities are unavoidable, so to speak. So don't you think the time has come for social media influencers to pretty much abide by the rules of the game with regards to the laws of the land?
Before we go to that, let me just the question you had asked about influencers, and you know, because I mean they have influence. First of all, in the 21st century, you don't have to be an influencer to have influence. All you have to do is say something people love, and the post will go viral. I would literally have 5 followers, and I'll say something about Bobby Wine, and it will have 500 likes or comments or something. You get? So them saying they're coming for socialites and influencers and people with big numbers already shows you they haven't done any research. Because let me give you a case study. There's a boy called Subi right now, the UH whole boy. Yeah, someone, a bully came and trolled him, made fun of him. This bully is not an influencer. He basically has the smallest followers. But when the post blew up and it went viral, you know, now we are seeing Subi on TV, we are seeing Subi on radio and all that. So you don't actually have to be an influencer to wield influence. It's all about the content. Yeah. With regards to positive aspects you're talking about, yes, like I said, regulation is good and bad. Yes,
Right.
it has to have a middle ground. But when you come to me with a license and your case study is of a country that actually put it there to gag people, then I don't understand what you're saying. Because you come here and tell me, oh, we've put this law here to curb fake news, and then you tell me, and don't you see it's working in Egypt? But Egypt put that law.
Overlooking that factor,
Yes.
generally, don't you think it's time for this to actually happen?
For the registration of influencers, how are you going to do it? How are you going to know who is an influencer and who isn't? How are you going to know who's a socialite and who isn't? Because
You're
in
the
Uganda,
gurus who are going to help them out.
how? They haven't talked to us at all. In Uganda,
They
you
never
can
consulted.
blow.
I mean, this is an
Yes.
order which came out of the blue without any consultation, without seeking opinions and views from the stakeholders. So now, I mean, it's too late for them because I mean,
Because
this
it's
has already been
already out
rejected.
there.
People have rejected it. They have rejected it and saying, I mean, wait a minute. So who is an influencer?
We also rejected OTT, but it went through.
Well, OTT.
And that's why it was the worst performing tax.
Yes.
Yes, by URA.
And
the
it will
whole
not,
reason
probably.
they put it there is the whole reason it didn't do anything. So in other words, it's like it didn't do anything. Yeah.
All right.
And
So
let me just lament on what you're saying. So the whole it's a very challenging, let's say, job identifying who is an influencer and who isn't. Because in your aspect, you might have people that influence you, but they don't influence me.
Right.
You might find, let's say, a journalist like Alan Kasuta is very influential, and someone like you may not find him influential. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So how is UCC going to draw a line in the sand and be like, okay, now Pfizer, you're an influencer, and this one you're not an influencer, and with time you lose influence.
but they say numbers never lie. So if
Numbers
they go
never
with
lie,
the
but they are
criterion,
fake followers as well. I can just go online today, set up an account, and I'll have what 10,000 followers. I mean, I have my dog has a social media account. It has 500 followers.
Is this reality?
So is it yes? So is it also going to pay the $20 tax because it influences people? Now everyone that wants to know about dogs comes to my profile like, oh,
And the
let's
only
go
thing,
to
okay,
my first dog and see what it's doing.
it would be really, it's bad that actually Mr. Bosa is not here. But I would just ask him the threshold of people that actually are going to look at, okay, are we looking at this number? If you have 500 followers above, then
You're an influencer.
you're an influencer. I mean, I don't know really this is how they have really planned this. Secondly, I'm also looking at the definition of an influencer by law. I think for them, they're going to face an uphill task because, like he said, I mean, they could be really influencer to a particular group of people.
They have said prominent musicians, journalists, and socialites. We all. Can you just
No,
look
they're
at
going
this
for
from a positive point?
individuals.
We all know.
They're
No,
going
top
for
of mind.
individuals.
Top of mind. When you're told to think of an influential journalist, I'm sure you will get a name. Just top of mind. When you're told to think of maybe a journalist or a musician who is influential, I'm sure someone will come to mind. When you're told to name a socialist who has great numbers, I'm sure you'll get a name, so to speak. Those are the people they're looking at.
So you see, it's going to be based on bias
Exactly.
because
Based on numbers, sir.
based on bias.
Based on
because
numbers.
to me, You'll tell me Fresh Dad is a socialite, and I'll tell you no. He just blew up. It's just a trending topic that's going to go away. And then
you think it's going to go away?
It's going to go away because these things come and go. I've been online for a long time to know what comes and goes and what stays.
All right, okay, so...
Yeah, I mean, to me, particularly, if you've started really creating layers of who they're looking out, prominent journalists,
yes, musicians
and socialists.
Yes.
Socialites.
Socialites. That's the name. Socialites.
Socialites. I can tell you here, I think they are hidden motive of targeting individuals. Trust me, they are going to target individuals who they know they have a political influence, and I'm not surprised if Bobby Wine is not one of them.
Okay. All right. On social media, we were asking you, what do you make of government's proposal to register and monitor social media influencers? And I have David Rukasi on standby to sample some of your feedback. David, what are people saying?
Well, very interesting feedback that we have here. Of course, Ugandans on social media, I don't know if I should call them that, they're not happy about the move. But just going through the comments, we'll start with Twitter. I am Vision 2031 says, yet another move to crack the whip on freedom of expression and cripple the information chain. But this will end up like internet principle of the Hydra. Close one and 10 will emerge. Okay, thank you very much. Odongo Sam says, I see no need for it. This government is becoming rare and more rare than what is expected. These are policies we need. Mind your money is needed for that. Thank you very much, Odong Sam. Owaboda Boda says, most of these influencers are organized already within their companies. I'm smelling something fishy unless they are planning to dictate what they should actually influence ahead of this 2021 project. Calls that a 2021 project. But like it has been highlighted on that table, many think that this is a move to gag social media or influencers ahead of the 2021 elections. And of course, we still want your views to come through. Make sure you hashtag morning at NTV. We'll pick that up. You can tag at NTV Uganda. You can tag me at David Rukasi or Malaki Verodera, and let us know what your thought is on regulating our social media influencers. As you have heard, the list includes, yes, one of your favorite artists there. Taking a look at socialites, Zari and company. I think there's Zari, there's Bad Black. You're going to tax Bad Black? I think, yeah, Bad Black should pay this $20. Anyway, give us your thoughts. Keep them coming. We'll share them as the show goes on. What's your thoughts on regulating and, of course, registering social media influencers? Well, there you go, Mala. People think that this is just a start to dictate what influencers should influence ahead of the 2021 project. That's what they call it.
All right. Thank you so much, David Rukasi. Like I mentioned earlier, I think this was one of the hardest interviews to do because we were expecting Mr. Ibrahim Bossa, the spokesperson of the Uganda Communications Commission, to come through and just have a say as well, because every single feedback, every single question, every single reaction is directed to them, for them to just explain to Ugandans and especially the social media influencers what this is all about and what their goal pretty much is with regards to the same. But gentlemen, thank you so much for coming through. But before we wrap this up, do you agree with what the masses have to say with regards to the same?
I understand why they are in the position they are in, and I actually, to some degree, I do agree, because I was never consulted when this was coming up, and I'm an influencer.
So would it have been different if they first consulted you?
Yes, if UCC came to us and they were like, guys, there's a lot of fake news and you're coming to the elections, what should we do? I would have told them what to do. I would have told them, hey, look here, government agencies need to be very proactive online. Yeah, wake up in the morning, disseminate information. Right. Tomorrow, disseminate information, because people, that's what everyone does. That's
but don't you think this is hard for the UCC to do, like for them to consult you first, if at all, as yourselves, as social media influencers, you don't have a body that is,
No,
you
we
know.
do. We actually
do you have a body?
Yes, we do have
Are you
organizations.
organized?
Yes, we are.
What are these organizations? Maybe
What are the what?
What are these organizations that you come under to maybe articulate your
Oh,
issues?
now
Are you
me
organized? Are you in a group?
me, I'm under a group called Top Bloggers.
How many groups are this?
There are about 5 groups that I know of, actually.
Don't you think that's a gap as well?
No, that's not a gap, because influencers are people and we all share different views. The influencers that deal with tourism are not going to be in the same group of people that deal with events, are not going to be in the same group of people that just write blogs.
All right.
You get. So we will all have different views, and this is why we have different associations.
All right.
But if UCC had come to us, and I mean, very many government institutions always first consult with people. National Water, for instance, they'll come, they'll be like, oh guys, we have a media engagement, come through. Umeme, we have a media engagement, come through. Guys, we want to do this. How should we do it? We want to do this. What do you think?
All right. So your parting shot is they need to consult you first.
My parting shot is, first of all, I know UCC and they will implement this. So, people, VPN, and that's it.
Okay. those are your views. All
Those
right.
are my views.
Your last remarks as we wrap this up.
One, the practice of UCC, their actions really fall short on access to information, increased participation of stakeholders, and they try really to drive their own agendas without consultation. One of the things that I'm looking at, I think I don't want to be against the team and the other groups should really challenge this action, because it's really violates the principles of the Constitution. It's really going to curtail freedom of expression. People are going to be limited on what they're supposed to say. The moment that these taxes impose, automatically you're already in the system and they have control over you.
Right.
If you happen to have anything divergent to what they don't want to hear, automatically
your license.
you're going to lose the license.
All right,
like it has
thank you.
been.
Yes, thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming through. We'd like to categorically state that every single utterance that have been made, and utterances that have been made by this gentleman here, solely take responsibility of the same. And I'll still mention this, we're expecting Mr. Ibrahim Bosa to join us this morning.
Looking for another opportunity to meet up with him.
All right, the spokesperson of the Uganda Communications Commission. He was running late, but unfortunately he has not made it. And so I think we'll plan to have him back and maybe have you back as well.
Looking
so you
forward.
can have a back-to-back with him.
Exactly.
So you can get to understand all these factors that UCC is pretty much considering when they're proposing some of these measures. That's it for our Take Note conversation. Keep your views coming. #morning at NTV is the place to be. We're taking a short commercial break. We'll be back with business updates. Stay with us.
On the very edge of Windy National Park,